geht morgen dabei sein, geht morgen.
Shalom alaikum.
Kevin, welcome back.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, Rabbi, we can hear
Okay,
you.
Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Every day there's a new Kavan. Go figure. Look at that. All right. One second.
He still has the Gemara site on his desk. He has to change it.
What was that?
You still have the Gemara site on your desk. You have to change it.
Oh, got it. Wait, slate. Oh.
Good morning.
All right. All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Samach Gimel. We are dedicating this class today to Miriam Chana Bas Tzivia Leah. We will be learning a Machlokes Tanoim, whether men are allowed to go out on Shabbos with weapons, with arms. This is going to lead us into a Machlokes, a fascinating Machlokes, whether weapons will become obsolete in the Messianic era. We're going to have on Daf Samach Gimel the quote that the Rambam brings down, that Rambam Paskins like Shmuel, that Ein Bein Olam Hazeh Liyamois HaMashiach Ela Shibud Malchius Bilvad. We're going to be learning quickly, chazering over the machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos and many others, that the third Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from Shamayim, Banoi Umeshuchlal, versus the Rambam that Paskins like Yerushalmi, that Mashiach is going to be the one who's going to be leading the building of the third Beis Hamikdash, etc. And L'shitosei Tosfos will have to make a comment on our Gemara. We're going to have on Samach Gimel here the concept that Ein Mikra Yoisei Midei Pshutai. We're going to be learning the importance of learning Torah, both Lishma and remaining humble. We're going to have an interesting Maimar Chazal regarding Ha'oisa Mitzvah Kima'amara. We'll see what that means. Doing a mitzvah exactly the way it's written, not compromising in the mitzvahs. We're going to have a Gemara that tells us that Kol HaMegadol Kelev Ra B'soich Beisoi Moineach Chesed Mitoich Beisoi. We're going to learn the gears of the Marsha. He takes out the word Ra. The Marsha has the gears that whoever raises a dog in his house is preventing kindness from coming in his house. We're going to have a Gavaldika Gadata, which is going to emphasize the importance that whatever it is that we learn, we have to bring it down into action. That's the goal of it all. And to top off this beautiful daf, we're going to have some Agadata, we're going to have some dinim of Tuma and Tara, behemshach to what we learned on Daf Chavav and Daf Chav Zayin, that the minimum, the smallest size of woven fabric for it to be categorized as a beged is 3 fingers by 3 fingers, we're going to learn that sometimes a beged even smaller than that is going to have a din of a beged, and we're going to have some details about the tzitz, which is the golden crown or the golden head plate that the Kohen Gadol wears. He wore and he will wear in the third Beis Hamikdash. The machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos, how the words Kodesh Lashem was engraved on the tzitz, and much, much more. Okay, we're starting on Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph by the Mishnah, by the second wide line from the top of the Amud. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam sha'ar kol yom.
Amen.
Says the Mishnah, Lo yetze ha'ish, a man may not go out, we're speaking about in the Rishus Harabim, Lo b'sayif, not with a sword, Lo b'keshes, not with a bow, Lo b'tris, nor with a shield, Lo ba'ala. Allah, we'll see in the Gemara, is some sort of stick, some sort of club, Lo b'roimach, nor with a spear, all different types of weapons. Tanakama holds, ve'im yatsa, it's not a beged, it's not a tachshit. I don't care that you don't have it in your hand. It's stuck somewhere on your belt. Doesn't make a difference. You're chayev chatos midoraisa for the malacha of carrying, of transferring. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, he disagrees, and he says that all of the above, tachshit and hein, they are in the category of ornaments, and therefore you're not chayev chatos. Now again, whether you're going to be chayev midrabanan, we spoke out. That's already the machlokes rishonim. Whether we expand this takanas chachamim that you might take it off, you might show it off, you might end up carrying. Some rishonim say yes, some rishonim say no. But Rabbi Eliezer certainly holds that midoraisa, on a doraisa level, you didn't violate anything because it's a tachshit. V'chachamim oimrim, my friends, the chachamim is not a third shita, says the Tosfos Yontif. It's a continuation and an explanation of the Tanakh. No, it's not a tachshit. Einam evelignai, it's nothing but a disgrace carrying a weapon. And how do I know? That's Shneimar, because we have this famous pasuk from Yeshayahu regarding some time in the future, which is for us the imminent present, that it says v'chitasu charvoisam li'itim, that they will beat, we will beat, mankind will beat their swords into plowshares. No, since there won't be war, there's no need for weapons. They're going to make the use of all of these metals for something productive. And their spears will be turned into pruning shears. And why is that? Because no nation will lift a sword against another nation. People won't even learn warfare anymore. So what's the word? Says Rashi. How does this prove against Rabbi Eliezer? Rashi, 3 lines from the top of the Amid. If you're right, that weapons also serve as an ornament, why will people destroy it? People will always like tachshitin. Is that No, it's not an ornament. It's for war. And when there's no warfare, it's not needed. Point is, even now that we're still in Galus, this last moment of Galus, and there is still warfare and people have weapons, but it's not a tachshit. Okay, and we're going to do a lot more on the back and forth, God willing, in the Gemara. Now the Mishnah goes back to the women. And we had this din mentioned before. Biris is a garter. As we explained, a woman wears stockings, and a garter is some sort of garment that is servicing the garment. A garter is something that makes sure she ties it around the upper part of her leg, so the stocking should not fall down. So the Mishnah is telling us 2 dinim. The ikir is Hilchos Shabbos, but we chaparayim whenever we could, some Hilchos Tumah and Tara. Biris tohira. This garter can never become tummy. It's not susceptible to becoming tummy. Why? Because that's the rule. It's not a beged. It's not a mana. It's something that's servicing a garment. The garment are the stockings. This is only here to make sure that the stockings don't fall. So that's already not considered a chosh of a garment for itself. So therefore, it's never susceptible to becoming tummy. And in Yonenu, the yoitzin ba b'Shabbos, she's allowed to go out with it with Shabbos, because even though it's not a beged l'hilchos tumah v'tara, it's not a masa. She's not carrying it. Maybe she's going to take it off to show her, or she won't take it off. If she'll take it off, her stockings will fall down. So there's no chashash, not midoraisa, it's not a masui, not midrabanan, she'll take it off. So the yoitzin ba b'Shabbos. Contrasting to the biris is something called kivalim. Kivalim, the taich's leg chains. We'll see it's a biris that has another part to it. And because of that other part, the chains, as we'll learn in the Gemara, first of all, it's tamei. It's already considered a beged per itself. And on the other hand, the chain part of the kavalim is something that was made out of gold sometimes, and a woman would take it off to show her fellow. It wouldn't cause her stockings to fall. The chain didn't keep it up directly, and therefore, midrabanan, the ein yotzin bahen b'Shabbos. And a lot more. Again, the Gemara is going to clarify more the biris versus the kavalim. For the Mishnah mentioned various weapons, and the Gemara is going to begin by asking, what's an Allah? Allah is a curse in the Torah's language. Allah here in the Mishnah means a kulfa, a club. It's some sort of club, a metal club that has a round studded ball at its head, a weapon. Rabbi Eliezer against the Tanach, if a man is going out with these things on his body, you know the way wherever you put a gun in your holster, for this person it's a tachshit, and therefore you're not chayiv chatas. Okay, says the Gemara Tanya, we learned in the Brayso. Amru loy li Rabbi Eliezer. The Chachamim challenged Rabbi Eliezer. If weapons is considered also an ornament for a man, so why won't we have them anymore? Like we quoted the pasuk in the Mishnah from Yeshayahu. Why are we going to beat our swords into plowshares? Why? Why don't we keep it for a tachshit? So Amar Lemsey told him, listen, it's a tachshit, but don't forget it's a weapon, and the weapons won't be needed. Because they won't be needed anymore. As it says, this is, according to the version of our Braisa, Rabbi Eliezer's raya. Since it says v'lo yisod goyal goy cherev, so it won't be needed. So therefore, we're gonna transform them into some productive agricultural tool. But still, says the Gemara, doesn't make sense. But you're telling me it's a tachshid, v'tevi l'noy ba'alma. But why won't we keep it for the beauty of it? So Amar Abai explains. He tells Rabbi Eliezer, I'll give you an example. Shirago b'tihara. That's a mashal Hasidus always brings. A candle in the sunlight. If it's the middle of the day and you bring out a candle, being that the candle is not needed, it's not even beautiful. It's not. Sometimes things that are not necessary, they lose their beauty. Nowadays that there's milchama, so now you need weapons for war. So now there's also a certain ornamental aspect to the weapon. But since in the future there won't be any war at all, at that time, since it's not necessary, it loses its beauty. Then, even in Rabbi Eliezer, it will not be ornamental. Now the Gemara says that our Braisa evidently doesn't go together with Shmuel. Now normally, Shmuel is an Amoira. If a Braisa, Shmuel argues, a Braisa doesn't argue with Shmuel. Shmuel argues with the Braisa, but there are times that there are certain Braisas that the Gemara didn't know whether it's authoritative. And now the Gemara is pointing out that this Braisa disagrees with Shmuel, which L'chora means it's not authoritative. Because all this is predicated, the Girs and the Braisa is that Rabbi Eliezer is the one that brought up the pasuk in Yeshaya regarding the days of Mashiach, that there won't be weapons. Shmuel disagrees with all that. Shmuel holds that in the future, there's still going to be wars, future meaning in the days of Mashiach. Now, there won't be wars against the Jewish people, but one nation against another nation might still bear arms. So there's going to be weapons. It won't be battle. Look at the Shmuel. Amar Shmuel, there won't be any difference between the world now and Golus in the days of Mashiach. Ella shibud Golius bulvad. So again, weapons will be needed for other nations. And how do I know that, says Shmuel? Because it says in the A, right? There will never cease to be poor amongst the land, because that's the nature of the world. You have wealthy people, you have poor people. Just like there's going to be poverty, so there's going to be there's a potential for war, and there might be war amongst other nations, and therefore the whole kasha, so to say, against Rabbi Eliezer, the way we have it in the Mishnah, has to be better understood. Because Rabbi Eliezer himself will say, no, there's going to be wars. So and therefore, we'll have weapons, and if we'll have weapons, it will be considered as a tachshit. Okay. Now, before we go on, look inside the one Tosfos we have in the Amid. Tosfos says, "Ein bein olam hazeh l'meisam Mashiach." Says Tosfos, "Afal gav." How can you say, according to Shmuel, that there'll be no difference in the world? The only difference will be Shibud Malchius. Shibud Malchius means that we will not be subjected to other governments. We will be an independent people. We'll be a nationally independent people. That's the only difference. Says Tosfos. What about Hashta? There's no Yerushalayim and there's no Beis Hamikdash. Everything will be built. So now let's analyze something. What's the question of Tosfos? How does the fact that when Mashiach will come, we'll have Yerushalayim and we'll have a Beis Hamikdash, how does that Bechlal contradict the point Shmuel is making? Shmuel is basically saying is that Olam Kimen Hagen Noig. World will go on the way it's going on right now. Now there's wars, there's going to be wars. Like he says, there's rich and poor, there's going to be rich, there's going to be people that have needs. The good people will do a lot of tzedakah. How does the fact that there's going to be a Beis Hamikdash and now there's not, how does that Bechlal contradict what Shmuel is saying? So to appreciate the kasha of Tosfos, this is a topic, this is a theme that we have in many places. L'mashal Sukkah Daf Mem Aleph, that Rashi there and Tosfos there says that the Beis Hamikdash, the third Beis Hamikdash, will not be built by human beings. It's going to come down, that these are the words, Banui u'meshuchlal min hashamayim. It's going to be a Yered min hashamayim. Now you understand the kasha of Tosfos. What do I mean, Ein Bein? The world will not go on as it goes on. Imagine if there's going to be a building that will miraculously appear, that's already a ness. That's not the world goes on as it's going on. That's the problem that Tosfos has. Just to know that the Rambam, Paskins like the Yerushalmi and the other sources, that they hold that even the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built by us, obviously led by Melech HaMashiach. So no, it's according to the Rambam, Tosfos doesn't even have a kasha. Ein bein olam hazeh l'beis HaMashiach elo shibud malchius. There's going to be a Beis Hamikdash, no problem. There'll be a Beis Hamikdash because we're going to build it. Again, it's a natural event. And just to speak out, the Rebbe always explains to reconcile this machlokes, whether the third Beis Hamikdash will be built by us or whether it's going to come from the heavens. One of the ideas that Rebbe suggests is that everyone holds that the third Beis Hamikdash is going to be a miraculous building. And it's going to be Banu Yemeshuchlo, and it's going to somehow appear on Harabayas. Eloma, since the Rebbe gives an example that since it says in Eicha, Tavu ba'aret she'areh, that the gates of the first temple or of the second temple sunk into the ground during the Churban, we are going to bring back up those gates. That will be the part of the building that will be Bidei Adam, excavating and bringing back the gates of a prior Beis Hamikdash and putting them on God's third temple. And being that the gates will be the final thing that will happen after the Beis Hamikdash, so Mashiach and we will be given credit for building the third Beis Hamikdash because we're going to finalize it by putting on gates which were also already built by Yisrishan or by Yesheni. Very interesting concept. But coming back over here, this is one version of the back and forth between the Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer regarding weapons in the future. Now the Gemara says, however, this Braisa, right, the Shmuel doesn't go with the Braisa, but this Braisa Misayele l'Rabchia bar Abba, Damrechia bar Abba, know that when Mashiach will come, it's going to be a different world. It's going to be a miraculous world. When Mashiach will come, there won't be any wars at all. And because all of the psukim that we have in the Nevi'im speaking about that the wild animal is going to lay with the calm animal, v'chulei v'chulei, all of these psukim are referring to Yemais HaMashiach. And many of these psukim we have in Tanach are describing a miraculous world. And it's going to be a new world. And this, so for even this pasuk, Yisod Goy El Goy Cherev, is going to be Yemais HaMashiach. No eye, no Navi's eye was able to see it. Only God himself is able to see that future. Now, Shmuel disagrees with that. Shmuel holds that all of the miracles that we read about in Tanach, that is already referring to Olam Haba at a latter stage. But again, Yemais HaMashiach, Olam Kimen Hagei Noyik. I'm quoting the words of the Rambam, but Olam Kimen Hagei Noyik. But Ein Bein Elo Shibud Malchius. And therefore, there's going to be war, coming back to our topic. And as long as there's going to be wars in the world, Rabbi Eliezer will be of the opinion that then a weapon will at least be a tachshit. And therefore, you're not chayiv chatas. Okay. There's another whole version of this brayso that Amru loy Rabbi Eliezer. Forget they were that this is like more like our Mishnah. The Chachamim asked Rabbi Eliezer. You say that it's an ornament. So again, why do we have a pasuk in Yeshaya that why will they destroy it? Why will they beat it into plowshares? It's a tachshit. So Amar Lohen, so to which he responds, I don't agree with your premise. Afli Ma'isa Mashiach, Elam B'Telam, like we mentioned. No, there won't be battle. It won't be battle, like, no, it's fakir. Shmuel now holds like Rabbi Eliezer. Hainu the Shmuel, Ein Bein, Elam Hazal Ma'isa Mashiach, Elo Shibud Malchis. Shibud Malchis again means that they're not going to wage war against us. Because if the Goyim are gonna threaten us with war, then this Vaita Shibud Malchis. But the fact that amongst the nations in the world, Goy el Goy, B'Maisa Mashiach will still bring up a sword, that justifies, according to Rabbi Eliezer, for weapons to always exist, and therefore they will even be worn by us as a tachshit, and this shita upliga Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Okay, says the Gemara that we're looking for a basis for Rabbi Eliezer's opinion that holds that a weapon is a tachshit. Okay, there won't be battle, it will be battle. Why is a weapon a tachshit? Where do we find such a thing? Amalei Abayil Ravdimi, or V'amri La that Abayah said to Rab Avia, or V'amri La that Rabbi Yosef said to Ravdimi, or other people say that this was from Rabbi Yosef to Rab Avia, or it was Abayah to Rabbi Yosef. My comment to Rabbi Eliezer, the Amar tachshit and Eloi. Why? There has to be a source in the Torah that tells us that we can view a weapon as an ornament. So it's a pasuk in Tehillim. This is a pasuk in praise of the king of Israel, and it says, "Gird your sword upon your thigh, Giboir, you mighty one. It's for your glory and splendor that a sword girded on your thigh is a hoid and a hadar. That's called a tachshit." Okay, Amalei Rav Kahana. To Mar is the name here. You quoted me a pasuk Tehillim Memhei about girding your sword on your thigh, that this is your glory and this is your splendor. You're touching this pasuk literally, that it means a sword. No, this pasuk is speaking about Divrei Torah, that you should always have your Torah near you. The Torah is our glory and our splendor. So how do you use it as a source? So Amalei, so he tells Rav Kahana, excuse me, Torah has many layers. When you learn that this pasuk is referring to Divrei Torah, you learn good, but it's not the only pshat, and it's not even the basic pshat. The basic pshat is, as it says literally, Ein mikra yotzim midei pshutai. Here you have it. And my friends, we have to put in context the whole sugya, daf nun hey, daf nun vav that we just learned, right? Kol ha'omer, etc., Einoi elotoya. When you learn Chazal, you have to know how to. It's like a puzzle. No, there is a tzad loimer ein mikra yotzim midei pshutai. Okay, and that's what we're learning about today. And therefore, even though you were right that you always understood Tehillim Memhei about Divrei Torah, don't take it out of its literal. It means both, but there is something glorious about a weapon. It's a tachshit. Amar Rav Kahana Kadhavina Bar Tamne Sreishnin. When I was only 18 years old. And by then I already finished the whole Shas. Now, Rav Kahana was an Amoira. So just understand, the whole Shas really means Mishnayos, but the Gemara, it's not that there was no Gemara. The Gemara wasn't written down. The Pshat is that he knew the whole Shas. He knew the Mishnayos and the meaning of the Mishnayos and the interpretation of the Mishnayos and the sources of the Mishnayos. However, even though I knew that all, but the Leihava Yodana, I never yet knew the Ein Mikri Yesim Edei Pshuta Ad Hashan. Until now, I never heard that. So says the Gemara, Mike Kamash, what is he trying to say by that? So the Gemara says he's trying to teach us something, which is that the Ligmar Inish, first a person should learn a lot. And even though you don't fully understand it, and you're missing certain layers of interpretation, it doesn't matter. No, it's learn a lot of Legirsa, learn everything. And then you'll have time to understand the reasonings better. No, it's Rav Kahana saying, I knew the whole Shas, I knew the whole Mishnayos, but I never knew that rule. Since he never knew the rule that ein mikra yetzim and pshutai, for sure there were certain things that he didn't fully grasp yet. Doesn't matter. You know what we learned at the end of Brachas. Oiker Harim, right, Rabbah versus Rabbi Yosef, Sinai. And Taka the Gemara says Sinai Adif. You have to know a lot. You might not fully understand it yet. Later you'll have time to add and to hear a new insight, and that will clarify that which we learned. But you have to begin first the Ligmar Inish. First learn it all. Siman to the next Agadata is the word Zarus. And let's start, Chevra. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah. Amar Rabbi Loza. When you have two Torah scholars, that they are sharpening each other with halacha, sharpening with each other is like Rashi says over here, not one is trying to overpower the other. In Yiddish, nicht gut, nicht gefährlich, but amachadin means that they're helping each other. They're challenging each other to take a better understand this type of sparring and learning. HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzliach lahem. God grants them success. Shneimar, as it says, again, Tehillim Memhei, which is Taka. Let's go with Rav Kahana speaking about Divrei Torah, that Vahadarcha, your glory, your Torah learning, tzlach will succeed. And now we say, how do you know it's speaking about learning in a way of mechadadin? One is sharpening the other, one is challenging the other. Al tikre Vahadarcha ela vachadodecha. And Bechlal, as it works, just we know from the Basa Lagani, Raisha Dalad and Reish. For many years, we learned that theme of Sheker and Keresh. So the Dalad and the Reish are interchangeable oisias. We know also from the Rebbe Sichan Kairach that a Hey and a Ches is also interchangeable letters. So Vahadorecha can mean Vachadodecha, when the Hadar, when your glory, when the Torah is learned in a way of Chidud, two people are sharpening each other. Remember that whole Gemara also, the sad story we have in Bava Metzia of Rish Lakish, how Rabbi Yechanan said something that he got very offended by, and he passed away, and people wanted to console him, and then whatever Rabbi Yechanan says, they tanya the Messiah Lach, and he says, I don't need people to tell me that what I'm teaching is good. I want Rish Lakish, who for every statement that I made, he has so many kashas on me. That's the way we always learned. We challenge each other. And furthermore, Ella, that both of them, again, they're not challenging each other in a negative way. They want to get to the truth. As it says, that after this hatzlach you'll be riding on a horse is a symbol of someone being successful, or someone being oilam. But you'll think that if people are learning Torah and they're doing it very good, and they're machadidin, a good chavrusa, a good chabura, you think if they learn Torah shaloi l'shma, they'll be oilam l'gedula? No. Talmud lemer al dvar emes. You will think that if they learn it l'shma, but they have arrogance, imhegiz daitoi, again, that you'll be oilam l'gedula. This also not, because it says va'anva tzedek. There has to be righteous humility. In other words, what we need is taka to learn and to challenge each other, but it has to be l'shma, and we have to stay humble. And as Hasidus emphasizes, this is only possible when a person during the learning remembers that it's God's Torah. We have to always remember the noise in our Torah. And we have to know that there's godliness in the Chachma. We're not pursuing Chachma, we are pursuing God, then we stay humble. And if we taka do that, then we're Zoichem the Torah, then we merit to acquire the Torah that was given with the right. B'yamin, as it says, that the V'soircha noira'ois yaminachom, right? And your right hand will teach awesome things. That's again, a person who learns Torah Lishma and he stays humble for the things that were said regarding the right of the Torah, which is the Amar Rabba Bar Rav Shila Amar Rav Yosef Bar Chama Amar Rav Sheishis. This is a pasuk that we say every time the Torah is lifted. What's the meaning of the pasuk in Mishlei? That long life is to her right. This is her to the Torah. And to the left, you have wealth and honor. And there's a kasha he's asking. Rashi says, what's the kasha? Is there only oirech yamim biyamina? There's no oisher v'chavei to yamina? We do have this concept that when you daven, right, if you want to have wisdom, you go to the left. The left is the right. In relation to the Beis Hamikdash, if you want to get Why, if you want to get wealthy, you go to the north, right? But here the Gemara is saying it's not this or that. Whatever the right has to have everything that the left has plus. So El Hanachanami, that the Yamina, in other words, he's asking El Yamina Oidach Yamamika Oisha V'Chavit Leka. The Yamina of the Torah, whatever that means, as we'll explain, there's everything. There's long life and wealth and honor. Ella explains the Gemara, L'mayminim ba, Mayminim is not from Lashon Emuna. L'maymina means that when a person learns diligently, trying to understand every single detail. Why is that called you learn Torah with your right? Because a craftsman, an uman, a craftsman uses his right hand. Your skillful hand is the right hand. So if a person learns Torah with skill, they're not washing it over. They're machadadin zedzeh. So then you have even long life. That's the bracha. All the brachas come to you. And certainly if you have long life, you're going to have wealth and kavod. But if a person doesn't learn kol tzarchan, they don't take things apart, they go quickly, no one is machaded the other. So first of all, oishev v'chavod you'll get. But we see that all of the great Yidden that spend their life learning Torah, look in the Fruma world, they always live a long life. There's always exceptions. Mama, they live, Melet Baruch Hashem. There's an Arichus Yamim, which is specifically connected by learning Torah b'shigiyah. And that's done when you have a chevre, because no, the one person doesn't let the other person get off the hook. If they washed over something, they stop them and you analyze. Another chazal. If two Talmid Chachamim are learning, but they're pleasant with each other. See, it's a balance because when you have a chidud, you can have a machlokes l'shem shamayim. Hanoichim means that they're very pleasant with each other. That is also a bracha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makshiv lehem, God Almighty listens to the Torah learning. Shneimar, as it says, Oz nidberu yerei Hashem. Right, Vishtei Vaited Vayakshev Hashem Vayishma. We have this in Pirkei Avos. He brings this pasuk. Now, how do you know that Oz nidberu? It means that they're speaking benachas. Ein dibur elo nachas. The word dibur means pleasant. Why does it mean pleasant? Listen to this. Because it says Yadbir Amim Tachtenu. Yadbir means that may Hashem humble other nations under us. So dibur is from like dominating. Now, many people think, how is dominating pleasant? Because when a person hears the words dominating, wrongfully, you might think, I'm dominating you. No. I'm dominating me, my Yetzer Hara. I'm humbling me. I'm humbling myself. Ubemela, I'll be pleasant with you. Now, what's the continuation of that pasuk? For those who ponder, for those who think about, who contemplate God's name, it means like this, that afilu chisha lasis mitzvah, if a person thought to do a mitzvah, and against his will, circumstances beyond his or her control, venenas, and he didn't do it, he was choishev, mala, all of akasav kiliyah, so God will consider it as if you did it. This is so beautiful. If you remember, we just had not long ago in Tanya Perik Mem Daled, when the Alter Rebbe explains the Maimer Chazal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitztaref l'maisa. And Alter Rebbe points out that HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitztaref l'maisa is not this. Whenever Chazal want to say that if you had a good intent, it's as if you did it, you never use the words mitztaref l'maisa. You use the words ki'ilu asa. That's the word. That's something else. Mitztaref l'maisa means a whole different thing. And ba'ayin over there in Tanya. Amar Abchinana Baridi, whoever does a mitzvah the way it's said, which means without deficiency, without compromise. It's like a hemshech to learning Torah b'chidud. Get everything right. Do the mitzvah without compromising it. Then ein mevaser oiseh pesuros reis. He'll never hear bad news. As it says, shoymer mitzvah. Shoymer means you're guarding it. You're guarding it not to cut any corners. Lo yeda davara. We'll never know of anything not good. Amar Avasi v'temer Abchanina. That I feel that even if God made a decree for something that for us appears not good to happen, who mevatla, this Yid, a tzaddik, right, who's called Hu'ois mitzvah kemamara, has the koyach to nullify God's decree. As it says, Ba'asher diber melech shiltoim, right, from the word of the king who has authority. The way it's understood here in Nigla means this is a reference to God. Who's the king? Whose word has a God? who can tell God what to do? This is all about that. If God made a decree, it's a done deal. But then it says right afterwards, shomer mitzvah lo yedeh davaro, that whoever keeps a mitzvah will never hear bad news. So the Gemara understands that the juxtaposition, the smichus, is to tell you, yeah, if you're not a tzaddik and God made a decree, who are you to tell God what to do? But if you're the shomer mitzvah, you have the power, kaviyachol, to tell God to change it. And God will listen to you. And therefore, you'll never know davara. Other times, the words ba'asher diber melech shiltain sometimes is in reference to the tzaddik, that the melech man malke rabbanon, that the word of a tzaddik is the ruler, is the word itself has authority. So we had hamachadadin. Now we had that they interact with each other hanoichin, pleasantly. Now we're having pashut listening. It's a chachma to listen. And it's a big, you have to have a lot of gevura on yourself, because if I think I'm right, I don't even listen to what you're saying. One who's able to listen to the opinion of the other, then God listens to them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shmei Elokolim. Shneimar, as it says, Hayosheves Baganim, for the garden dwellers, Chavedim, the Chavedim, Makshivan Lokoilach, are listening to your voice. Hashmiyeni, oh, listen. Now, guys, if you remember in Hasidus, right, in all of the Basal Lagani Maimorim, the Rebbe always begins with the two Midrashim, the two ways of understanding this pasuk. Neither of them is the way the Gemara is explaining it. It's like we learned above, if you remember that in the Maimari Hasidus, either Ganim goes to Olam Hazeh, and Hayushevas Baganim, like Rashi says over here, are the Yidden in this world who are sitting in the gardens. We are the gardens, the Bati Knesiyas, the Bati Medrashas, the Zooms, that's the garden. Chavedim in Hasidus, Chavedim Akshivim, the Rebbe says over there from the Midrash, that the Malachim come to listen Yidden learning in the Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash. Then the Rebbe brings another understanding, Hayushevas Baganim goes to Gan Eden, that when we go to Gan Eden, the neshamot are able to listen to God's learning. Here in the Gemara, it's not that. Here it's saying, Hayushevas Baganim goes on us, that when we sit in the Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash, on the Zoom, we're learning Torah ba'olam hazeh. Chavedim is us, Yidden, living Yidden. When we are makshivim, look, if I listen to what you're saying, if you listen to what I'm saying, we listen to each other, then God says, Hashmiyeni, I want to listen to that also. The Imen came, but the opposite, if we are unable to listen to each other, then then God doesn't want to listen. God goes away, kaviyachol. So we actually are the cause for the Shechina, God forbid, to, in a revealed way, remove itself. Shneimar, as it says, Berach doidi, my beloved, run away. Oigevalt, udemei. Amar Abba, Amar Abshem Elokish. This is the fourth already memra. So Rashi teaches Hamadigilim means when one gathers the other. I'm reading inside Rashi. Ma'asfim zeh. What should two chachamim gather each other? And they tell each other, Boy v'nilmoid. Let's learn. And v'novin bein shenenu. Let's do the best we could to understand the pshat. What does that mean? We're meaning that hoyel ve'ein lanu rav l'lamdenu. That if chachamim lost their Rebbe, the Rebbe's not here. And it can be a downer. The Rebbe is not here physically. So when two Yidden, two Hasidim say, okay, let's do the best we could. Let's gather together, let's learn the Torah of the Rebbe, and let's try to understand it to the best we could. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yahavam. Shneimar says, v'diglu, again, diglu means to gather. V'diglu, olai ahava. In other words, okay. Just an pshat, degel means a banner, a flag. That your flag of love is above me. That's the pshat. Here we're learning that when we gather each other, even though there is no Rebbe to do the best we could to learn, this mamash brings about that God will love us. Amar Rava, when is it a good thing for two Talmidim to get together to learn, even though there's no Rav, who the Yadid Sursa the Shmaitza? They have to know at least the basics of the subject. In other words, we're not minimizing goodwill, but if you have no understanding of Bengavas Meret, you have to find a teacher. And if the ideal teacher is like get another teacher, you have to have at least some knowledge to be able to be machadad and zed halacha. And also, and also if there's no one greater in the city to learn from, you lost your Rebbe, go find another Rebbe. But if there's no one else and you have at least the basics, then And again, some people get discouraged. No, then God loves you when you gather each other. Invite it. Another statement. That the one who lends money, a money lender, of course, without interest, a money lender is greater than giving tzedakah. You give tzedakah, the person needed money, now he has money. If you give a guy a loan, like the Rambam says, you're not only giving a loan to the poor, you're giving a loan for someone not to become poor. You're keeping him standing. And furthermore, umatel bakis. So Rashi says umatel bakis means either not you lend money, you make partnership. You give a guy money. So when you lend money, the lender tells the borrower whether you're matzliach or not, you owe me the money. Matel bakis means we're partners. We're partners means that if the person who took the money loses the money in the business, they both lost. It's the least pressure on the recipient. Matel bakis, Rashi says, also means a jobber, consignment. You're not lending money, you're giving your merchandise to someone else that if and when they sell it, they'll divide some of the profit with you. It puts the least pressure on the recipient. That's the greatest act of tzedakah, because you're mamish making sure that the person doesn't fall. You're making sure that your fellow Jew has parnasa. You don't give him a fish, right? You're helping him fish. And so we spoke about all ideals, levels that we have to learn Torah. We have to learn Torah Lishma, and we have to learn Torah with the humility, right, with Yiras Shamayim, and we have to have this midah tova and that midah tova. We have to be pleasant, and we have to be listeners. So now let's go to the other side. What happens if you have a Yid and he's very learned, but he doesn't yet have midas tovas yet? So you would think, chapazachot from him, stay away from him. There's still a value in you being connected to him because he's learned. Says the one im Talmud Chacham. If you have a Talmud Chacham, that's sadly, temporarily, he's still noikim b'noiter kenachash. He exacts revenge. He is a person who bears grudges. Nevertheless, chagreu al masnecha, gird him to your loins. Stay near him. Learn from him. Learn from the good in him. And in contrast, if the other person is a Hamaretz, he doesn't know. Even if he's a Chassid, he doesn't know. Al Tadur b'shchonasi, don't live in his neighborhood. Oy Gewalt. Don't even live in his, says Rashi, 5 lines on the bottom, because since he's an Hamaretz, meaning he doesn't know, Eino Yadeh b'Duki Mitzvahs. He doesn't know how to keep that, he doesn't know. And Be'en Chasidusei Sholem. And on the other hand, he's so, he means well, and he has good midos, so you'll naturally look up to him. Then he'll do a mitzvah wrong. He doesn't know. And you'll learn the wrong from him. Okay, and another statement, says the Gemara weiter, Amar, Amar Rav Kahana, we are in the second to last line in the bottom, right? The widest line. In the name of Rav Shimon Lakish, or V'amri La, Amar Avasi, in the name of Rish Lakish, or V'amri La, Amar Abba, Amar Shimon Lakish. Chavra Barker little seatbelts. We're going to read the Gemara here. Before we turn the page, I'm going to read this Gemara on the Marsha. Whoever raises a bad dog in his house, prevents kindness from entering his home. In other words, people will refrain from going into your house because they'll be afraid of your bad dog. Says the Holy Marsha. He has a different gears. I'm reading the Marsha. Kol hamegadel kelev. Whoever raises a dog in his house, he takes out the word ra, is meinei chesed, right? And the Marsha proves that this must be the girsa, because he says, it already says in Bava Kama that asur la'adam legadol keler abasech beisai, because it says le'sasam dam veisecha. So we already have that chazal. What's this? This is adding. Even if the kelev is not a kelev ra, but if it's a barking dog, it means a dog that someone will think that you have a dangerous dog in your house. Don't do that, because people will refrain from coming from your house. Everything, you have to balance it. If you live in a dangerous neighborhood and you think that the best solution for you is having a kelev that scares away the bandits, that's for your protection. But taking that aside, the Chazal is telling us, don't raise in your house a dog that will frighten someone who might come. Back in the Gemara, Shenemar, as it says, a pasuk in you, lamos, just the word lamos means to withhold. Lamos, taf samach gimel amid beis, meirei eyu chesed. You are withholding from your fellow chesed. So how do you see a dog? So it says that we're learning Agadata, because in Lashon Yavanis, a kelev is called lamos. So lamos means the dog itself is that which is withholding good from your household. And Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, af toirik mimenu yira shamayim. A very interesting statement. It means if I choose to be more hospitable, what's going to happen is I'm going to become more aware of Hashem's presence. The more aware I am of Hashem's presence, or naturally I'll be al yira shamayim. If a person puts in their house something that frightens others away, so therefore a person will become less hospitable. A less hospitable person automatically will be less aware of God. Ubemela will be poidik mimenu yira shamayim. Shnamar says v'yira shaka yazov. This person, right? That's the hemshech over there, right? That lamos. Maybe it's not juxtaposed. Maybe it is. But the Gemara is putting together that the yiras shaka yazov goes on the person who is megadol kelav beisay. And now the Gemara tells a story to prove the statement. So there was a woman, the Ilahu Beisa, that she went into someone else's house to bake. Not everyone had ovens. It was common that there was a communal oven. And the Groise Knacker, the wealthy Gevir, had an oven in his house, and he invited the woman to come and to bake in her house. And she happened to be pregnant. And she went into the house, Bidashus, and Novach Bar Kalba, the dog barked at her. You know what happened? Is Akar Valda, her fetus was uprooted. And the moment he realized, he probably saw she became pale. So he tells her, don't be afraid. I took off his fangs, which means he filed out his teeth. And I took off his claws. I cut the dog's toenails. But she didn't know that. When the dog barked, she chata pachad. So she tells him, you know what? Take all of your goodness, and throw it on the thorns. All of your goodness that you took off his fangs and you took off his claws is garnish, is worthless. Because kfar nod, Vlad, the fetus already is dislodged from the place she miscarried. In other words, dogs frighten people, and that's the way it is. And we have to care more about frightening people, not to do so, than anything else. What's the meaning of the pasuk in Koheles? Smach bachar b'yaldusecha, rejoice, young man, in your childhood. And v'tivcha libcha b'bei machrusecha, and let your heart cheer you up in the days of your youth. And v'halech b'darchei libcha, and go in the ways of your heart. Uvamara yinecha, and follow everything that you see. It sounds like live it up. But you should know, ki al kol eileh, that for everything you'll do, you're going to be taken to justice. So says the Gemara like this. The first opinion is Atkan, until the words Vida, but know that for everything God will take you to justice, are the words of the Yetzer Hara tells a person, rejoice in your childhood, let your heart cheer you up in your youth, right? Go after the ways of your heart, follow your heart, go after your eyes. All this is the Yetzer Hara. The counter to that is the Yetzer Toiv saying, we're going to give a din v'cheshbon for all. The Shloker says no. And like we had on Omad Aleph, many psukim, maybe not al pi pshat, but al pi deeper than pshat, al pi drush, al pi remez, al pi soid. It's all about Torah. Rejoice, bachar b'yaldosecha. What do we do when we're young, if we're lucky? And when our parents put us into a good cheder, we spend our youth in yeshiva learning. So enjoy the fact that in our youth, we spend time learning, running after our heart and learning. All's good and fine. At kan l'divrei Torah. But the pasuk of Koheles is, don't think that just because you learned a lot, you're good. No. The whole learning is in order for you to bring it into action, for you to bring it down into a maisa. Bikan ve'elech, v'da, gavaldik, you learned a lot, good for you. It's not enough. It's not only going to give a din v'cheshbon, because everything that we learned we'll have to bring into our own action. Okay, moving back now to the Mishnah. As we mentioned, the Mishnah began with a man with weapons. Then the Mishnah went to a woman, to the biris versus the kavalim. They're both similar. So they're stockings, and then there is something that keeps the stockings up. We call this in English a garter. And as we mentioned in the Mishnah, Aleph, a garter is not makabel tuma. Beis, a woman is allowed to go out with a garter on Shabbos, and the kavalim is makabel tuma, and she may not go out with the Shabbos midrabanan. So now the Gemara says, Biris Tahira. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Biris is a etzada. These are words we have in the Chumash. Etzada means a armband. My friends, an armband is a bona fide keli. It's makabel tuma. It's a tachshit for itself. Masav Rabbi Yosef. Biris is an etzada. Learn our Mishnah. Learn Shabbos Samach Gimel. Biris Tahira. The Yotzim of Shabbos. We're focusing on the Tahira part, which means it's not susceptible to becoming tummy. Etzada, and etzada, an armband is tameyahi. It's like any other piece of jewelry. So I don't know. That biris is like a etzada. Tachas etzada emenes. Just like an armband is warm on the arm, a biris is warm on the it's worn on the calf of the leg, but it's not as an ornament, like we mentioned. It's a band. It's a band that goes around the leg. It's there in order to keep the stockings up. Yosef, Ravin, Verafunam, and they were sitting in front of the great teacher Rabbi Yirmiyah. And at that moment, the Yosef Rabbi Yirmiyah coming down, was dozing off. And during that dozing off, they were talking amongst each other in Torah. The Yosef Ravin, the Ka'amar, and Ravin said, Turafuna, biris is something worn on one. He said these words, ba'achas. It sounds like on one leg. And the word kavalim, which is the next item in our Mishnah, is on two, bishtayim. Amalei Rafuna, no. You don't understand it. Wrong. Elu ve'elu bishtayim. There's a garter on this leg, a garter on that leg. However, if you only have the garter, that's called the biris. Then there was an option, there was an add-on. There was a super biris. They would add something. Matilde and shalshelas b'neihem. If you have chains that connect one biris to the other biris, now the whole thing is called kivalim. Okay, so now let's try to understand the Mishnah. So the Gemara is asking, well, just because you put on a chain before we come to going out on Shabbos, now it became a psakeli. What did we explain? That since it doesn't have a function for itself, it's not a beged for itself. It's here to hold up the stockings. It's a servant of another beged. It's not makabel tamei. So just because you put a chain, it changed. Same thing. And the chitim, if you're going to say, I'll explain to you why. Like Rabbi Shmuel Bar Achmeni said, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Achmeni, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan or in the name of Rabbi Yonasan, how do you know that if you have a metal utensil that was made designed for sound production, that was why it was made? The very fact, it's a keli, a musical instrument, it's tamei. And taka, that's the din, and it's based on a pasuk, guys. We had this a few daf ago that when it says in Matos after the war that we had against the Midianites, and we conquered them, and we took back the loot back to our camp, and it says v'chol davar asher yava ba'esh. Again, the pshat is you have to do libun, but the drush is the word davar is extra, kol davar. So we teach it drush. Davar means dibur. And Yavai Ba'esh, even though they were speaking about Libun for Hilchas Kashrus, but generically it's all Tum and Tara. Even Kashrus is called in the Torah a Tahir animal. And Tarfus, what we call Tarfus, is called Tamei. And that Yavai Ba'esh means it's called a Keli. So for example, it has to be Toivold. If it becomes Tamei, it has to be Toivold. Afilu Dibur B'mashma. So what do we see over here? We see that a item that is made to produce sound has a din of a keli. So he says, hold on now, the chain, Mistama, when they walked with such a chain, it made some sound. And that's why it's makabel tuma, because it made sound. The Gemara is not happy yet, because the Gemara says, hold on, when you make an instrument to produce sound, and a taka produces sound, and you want for that to happen, that's taka called a halachi keli for dinei tuma and tara. But a chain, if we're speaking about a garter, it's something that was meant to keep the stockings up. So you made a fancy garter with a chain between one and the other. So what if it makes a sound? It doesn't serve a purpose. You make an instrument for the purpose of sound, and the kavod ma'isa, and a taka does what you want. That's called a keli. But hachi my ma'isa kavod, even though it does make a sound when you walk, it wasn't made for that. So the Gemara says, no, it was made for that. There is benefit from the sound. Why did some girls or women add this chain on the garter? The they by nature, when they walked, they took large strides. And that caused them, before they got married, the hemen, their psulim fell out because they took very large steps. So to prevent that from happening, and then you get married, and then the husband is choishish that I pesach pasuach matzasi, so also lehem kevalim. So they would make this type of ornament. It's not just an ornament; there's a function. And they would make a garter that was not the beatus; it was the fancier one, the one with the chain. And what happened there? The brother chain is not that it did not allow them to take large steps. Pshat is that if they took very large steps, it made noise, and that was a reminder to the walker, to the wearer, "Upa, I'm taking too large of steps." So it was made to be mashmiya koil. And that from hearing the noise, they took shorter steps. Now we learned just yesterday or 2 days ago that taking too short of steps before the churban, that's not modest. There's everything, that the middle path that Rambam says is the golden path. Not too little, but not too large. And therefore, it's makabel tumah. And by the way, being that the chain itself did not hold the stockings up, and it was made out of gold, so they if one girl wanted to show off her chains to her fellow girl, she would do it because it wouldn't cause the stockings to fall down, and therefore she might carry it. So everything fits. It's tamei, and you can't go out b'Shabbos. And now, when they came to that conclusion, the two Talmidei Chachamim hamachadedim zeh b'halacha, you see, one corrected the other. In the Bible, the Rebbe wakes up. Itbar bohu Rabbi Yirmiyah. And at Tzaddik, even when he sleeps, he knows exactly what's going on. And he heard the whole conversation, and he was very happy with that. And Amar Lu, and he tells us Talmidim, this is mamash a ma'aseh. So the Rebbe was gone because he fell asleep, ki'ilu. But the Rebbe listened, and the Rebbe now thanked him, Yishar, in Yiddish, Yasher Koyach. And the good ketaich, the meaning of the Mishnah between Biris and Kabbalah. Says the Gemara weiter. That Kiyaseh Ravdimi. Ravdimi, my friends, came from Eretz Yisrael, and when he came to Babel, he went first to Pumpadisa. Who was the Rav in Pumpadisa? Abaya. We should remember these things. So Kiyaseh Ravdimi, he came to Pumpadisa, and he shared to everyone, including the Rosh Hashiva, including Abaya, Amar Rabbi Yechanan. We learned on Daf Chav Vav, Daf Chav Zayin, right? Danny gave those classes. Let's go back over here. That if you have a piece of garment, if it's made out of wool or linen, even if it only has 3 finger breadths, on 3 finger breadths, shalish, it's boys, right? It's still considered garment enough for it to be mekabel tuma. And as we explained, because you can use it for a patch. Now, divrei Torah ani b'makam echad v'ashir b'makam achar. You have to learn this. When you learn that sugya, what do you conclude? You don't need 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim, but you need 3 etzba'is. Now we're going to learn a chiddush. When you have to have the 3 by 3 and less than that is not a keli, only if it came from a larger garment. So if you had a beged of wool and someone cut out a little shtickle, for that still to be categorized, classified as a beged, it has to have 3 by 3 because it can be used for a patch. There's some usage for it. But what happens if melechatchila you wove a garment less than 3 by 3? You lechatchila made it that size for a purpose. So he brought a chiddush that's also makabel tuma, meaning it's also susceptible to becoming tummy. I'll give you a great example. Many of us, first we Hasidim, by Chabad, we wear it after the wedding. We wear a gartel. And many of us have a gartel, maybe for the weekdays, that's very, very narrow. Pocket's very long, but it's very narrow. You should know the din of shalish al shalish means it's not enough to say, well, it only has a half a finger in the width, but it has 50 fingers in the length. Doesn't help. It has to be at least 3 by 3. Lest someone mistakenly say, well, if it's not shalish al shalish, it's not a keli, it's not a beged. Why do we wear a gartel? One of the reasons, we learned in brachas to put on a garment for davening. How is it a garment? That's the answer, Shabbos Samach Gimel. Because since it was lechatchila woven in this size for a purpose, it doesn't even need the 3 by 3. Gabaldik. That's when he came back from Eretz Yisrael. So Nach only says that I learned in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Minayin la'adik, how do you know that if you have a woven garment, kol shehu, even less than 3 by 3, if it was lechatchila woven in this size, it's also considered a garment, and it's tummy, it's susceptible. And how do I know that? Now he's quoting Rabbi Yechanan. He knows it from the tzitz. Now the tzitz is one of the, from the Shmoyne Big Day Kohen Gadol, right? It was this plate that he wore on his forehead. We will see in a moment it only had 2 etzba'os with 2 etzba is always the thumb, not 3. And it's considered the mana. Is the charaya that kolshu arug, even if it's kolshu, it's makabel tuba. The obvious question is, my friends, the tzitz is a golden plate. He's speaking about a woven garment. Muzman Zagan, that according to the Havamina, they thought that the tzitz, in the trader says it's gold, but it was golden threads. That must have been the Havamina. It was some sort of garment woven out of gold, and it's considered the baguette. But nevertheless, Amalei Abaya tells it of Dimi, coming back from Eretz Yisrael, Matreidus, doesn't make sense. The tzitz Origu was the tzitz woven. It wasn't a garment, it wasn't threads. We learned in a Braisa that tzitz came in Tashel Zav. It's some sort of golden plate. And V'roichev Taka, you're right, 2 etzba'os. And the Mukav Loizen. And it went from one ear to the other on the forehead. And because of all of Bebe Shitanem, there was 2 lines, so to say. And on each line, something else was written. And what was written on it? Yud K, right? That's, which means Yud K Vav K was written Lamail on the line above. The word Kodesh La, it's Kodesh Lashem. But Kodesh Lashem was written on 2 lines. Not Kodesh on one line and Lashem on the other line. No, God's name by itself stands by itself on the top line. On the top line, Yud K Vav K, and the Kodesh Lamed Lamata. So Rashi says that the Kodesh Lamed is written under Yud K Vav K. Tosfos says doesn't make sense. Hashem Kodesh La doesn't work. Now you're right that we don't want to write anything over God's name. So Tosfos says, yeah, Yud K Vav K was written on the top line, but it was written towards the left side of the top line. Kodesh La was written on the lower line to the right, if you can picture that. So you read it Kodesh Lamed, Kodesh Le, and then you went up and you see the word Yud K Vav K. There are those that say that Kodesh was written on the lower line. The letter Lamed, that's the nature of the letter Lamed. The top of the Lamed goes up to the heavens. So the Lamed actually went up to the same height of Yud K Vav K. So Kodesh La Hashem and other shitos how it was written, and a very important detail for Amar Eliezer bar Rabbi Yossi that Tana. I saw the tzitz in Rome, right? The Vatican, the Ganovim. So they have different sections, what they stole from these people, what they stole from other people. So they have their section, what they gathered from us. And there, even going back, and Rabbi Yossi, he went into the city of Rome. And if you remember the story in Me'ilah, I know Rashi writes Daf Tez Vav, but it's a mistake. It's Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis. So there was a decree that Yidden from the Romans that we can't keep Shabbos, we can't go to Har Samashpacha. Remember that? And we can't do a bris milah. These were the 3 takanas, and then the beautiful story how we almost got out of it. And then they realized that it was a yid. We told the Romans, you want your enemy to be strong or weak. You want them to be weak, let them do a bris milah. You want them to be poor, let them keep Shabbos. They'll be poor. It was a lot of chachma went into it, but at the end they made a decree that's irrevocable. So the Gemara says, what do we need now? We need Rab Shimon bar Yochai. He's Melumad Benisim, but they wanted someone else to go with Rab Shimon bar Yochai. So they decided that Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Yossi should go with him. And Rabbi Yossi's father says, Oy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai is such a captain. Whoever did something a little bit wrong, he'll give a kpeda, he'll pass away. I don't want my son to pass away. So Rashbi said, I won't have any kpedas. Remember how beautiful? And then he had a kpeda on him, but he lived. What happened over there is that before they came to Rome, a demon by the name of Ben Talmion came to the Rashbi, and he told the Rashbi, I'm going to help you. And this demon went into the daughter of the Caesar, and she went insane. And when they got to Rome, the Rashbi got rid of that demon. So they healed her. So the Caesar tells these 2 Tanaim, you saved my daughter's life. You can go into my treasury and take whatever you want. What they took was they took that decree. They would keep the actual decree in the treasury, and they ripped it up. But when they were there, they also saw the items that those Ganovim stole from us, including some of the clay Beis Hamikdash. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Yossi says, I saw the tzitz. The Gemara in Me'ilah says that he saw the curtain. He saw the paroiches. The whole question in Me'ilah was when they threw the dam, did the dam hit the paroiches, or was it only keneged ha-paroiches? So in Me'ilah, we say that he saw the paroiches and it was filled with, he saw blood on it. Here we're saying that he saw the tzitz and he saw Kodesh Lashem was written in 1 line, not on 2 lines. And what do Yidden do? It's a very important klal. If we have a Masorah that the tzitz should be written Kodesh Lashem on 2 lines, it doesn't bother me that you saw the tzitz Kodesh Lashem on 1 line. So what? So you saw it. It could be that they made it tzitz. The guy who made the tzitz didn't know what he was doing good. Or maybe we outwitted the Romans, those Ganovim, and we knew they're going to steal the Klei HaMikdash. So we made secondary Kalim, like the Rebbe says about the Menorah. They never got the Menorah. They got the fake Menorah. It's like when I used to take the Afikoymen from my father would tell me, you got the fake Afikoymen. That's it. So it's amazing. So he said it was on 1 line. Okay, and we still say it's on 2 lines. Bottom line is, Abai is telling Rav Dimi that tzitz is not a garment. So why are you bringing an eye from the tzitz? So and he had nothing but to answer. Now, he saw look at Rav Dimi from Pumpadisa, he went to Narda. He chapped the answer. And he sent back to Pumpadisa, to Abai. Dvarim shematu lechem tos heim b'ya'im hakamed. I misquoted Rabbi Yechon. B'rom, kach omrim shum Rabbi Yechon. Minayin letach shid kol shu tamei. An ornament, if it was made lechatchila to be this little, even though it's so little, it's still mekabel tamei. That is taker from the tzitz, because the tzitz, like we said, only had 2 etzbois. It wasn't even 3. Minayin la'arig. If a woven garment, even if it's kol shuhu, how do you know that it's tamei? From the oi beged, a pasuk in Parsha Shmini, and this will, God willing, we will continue tomorrow. Taka, and that's taka the din, that a gartel, for example, the little gartel that we use for davening, menchamaydev, most people for shachas have, or whatever, even for any tefillah, is a beged, because it was lechatchila made in that little size. So, for example, many rabbanim use it to be mekabel kinyan. You can use your gartel. People say, how can you use a gartel? It's so skinny. Doesn't matter. That's the Gemara over here. Even though it's kosher from the oi beged, if it was made so little, it's considered a bona fide beged. To be continued.
Yeah,
Rabbi, what is unpitiable?
No,
What is unpitiable person? You said at the beginning of Ahmed Base, unpitiable, if you're an unpitiable person. About the dog, about not having a dog in the house.
Hospitable.
What is it?
Hospitable means that you should have a home, and someone comes near your home, they're not scared away, but they feel invited. Dog, by Teva, a dog is there to make people hesitate. Dog in the backyard, people put that sign. But you have something in your house that goes against Achnas Asarchim.
Thank you.
It's a tree.